live. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilburn, the Active Trend Trader. I want to welcome you to today's session on how to make money trading stocks and options, plus a couple of trading tips. So I've got a really pretty good trading tip for us today that you need to be, just taking a look at and be, and to consider going into the long, to this long weekend. It's basically marks a couple of things. One, it marks the end of the first quarter. Therefore, it's time to take a peek and say, hey, how did I do in the first quarter? What do I need to refine in order to do better in the second quarter and beyond? As you know that our focus has been brought around to the aspect of building wealth, which come, and trading and investing is definitely one of the prongs of being able to build wealth. And so as we move into today, we'll talk about those particular items. If you do have anything you want to share with me, please drop it in the chat box, not the Q&A section, because I can't watch the QA plus the chat plus participants and all that type of stuff. So hey, let's get ready. Let's go ahead and rock and roll and get into the rest of today's session. Always remember that basically active trend trading is about more than just surviving. It's about thriving in any market. Active trend trading, we want to basically provide a clear and simple system designed to maximize profits and minimize losses. I want to start throwing in there also the aspect about providing training and education about how to build wealth. We'll take a real quick look at the market index review, master trading tip, stock pick of the week. Those of you who were with us last Friday, you know that Steve picked up on Schwab, and I will be reviewing and identifying and taking a look at Schwab, plus a couple of other stocks that you may be interested in. Hey, Barbara, Barry, big group today. Glad you guys got the message. So let's go ahead and so remember what we do provide. Active trend trading is for training purposes. Traders should always pay for trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to join me for the live stream that I do on Instagram, typically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific. But I basically go in and give a refreshed market update, add to that a stock or an option that I'm looking at trading. And like yesterday, we talked a little bit about Tesla and what potentially may be in store for Tesla. It looked like it was setting up to move higher, and we'll see if that continues to go through the rest of the day. But then you can jump on and also watch that on our YouTube channel, which is Market Tech Talk, which we broadcast live the how to make money trading stocks and options typically Friday, but today, of course, tomorrow is Good Friday, and we're doing it today, which is Thursday. You can also please follow us over there, subscribe and follow us on YouTube and also Instagram if you want those live updates. That's all I'm saying. If you want the recordings, that's fine. I plug the recordings in later the same day when we do the recordings. And the Instagram updates are, in fact, posted to the YouTube Market Tech Talk. So the question I have for you today is, what is your monthly compounding factor? And if you're sitting there going, what the heck is a monthly compounding factor? Well, what we're talking about is what's your average basically gain or target percent that you want to gain on a monthly basis, or have you even thought about it? If you're going to be trying to develop a wealth building process, which includes trading and investing, having an idea of how much you want to multiply or compound I think on a monthly basis is absolutely critical. Now, you may be able to take it to a quarterly basis, or some people want to stick with a yearly. What are some of the compounding factors that we know about that you can chat about? Well, one, what's the average return on the S&P across all the years? And if you say about 8%, you're absolutely right. When you take into consideration inflation, normally it's up about 11% for the compounding rate on the S&P, but if you take into consideration inflation, it drops it down to about 8%. So that's on a yearly basis. So if you were to go forward, if you were to stay invested in the S&P, you would expect your funds that are invested to grow at a rate of 8% per year. I firmly believe that as a trader and as a active investor, you should be able to do a little bit better than that. So, you go back and you take a look at what is it based on my past performance on a monthly. Because if you even compound it just 1% per month, you're growing your account by over 12% for the year. It probably comes out to about 14 to 15% by the time you basically roll the compounding forward for 12 months. But what happens if you can do more? I think if you're trading options, if you're trading swing trades on stocks, that we could target actually a target of about 5 to 8% on a monthly basis. Now, what does that mean? Okay, you go, oh, that's really good. That's really wonderful. Well, understanding how compounding is, as Einstein called it, the eighth wonder of the world, and you take it forward and determine what your projected yearly return is. So if at 5%, if I compound monthly at 5%, my return for the year is 179%. So in other words, if I start with $100, I should wind up with $179. Is that about right? 1.79. Yeah, $179 would be my balance at the end of the year. What about 8%? Here's where it starts to get interesting. 8% compounds out at 252% per year. So as I take into consideration what I'm trying to trade and how I'm trying to trade, knowing about this, putting it into your plan, your wealth building plan, which incorporates your real estate, incorporates your house, incorporates anything that is growing in value, also should include your trading or investing plan. Now, is this a guarantee that this is going to happen? No, it's not. But if we don't take it in consideration, we can be for sure it's not going to happen. So Einstein was correct. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. And why do I say somewhere between 5 to 8%? Well, did you know on growth stocks, if a well-planned out purchase of a growth stock at a proper turning point, pivot point, normally they will run up within the first 5 to 8 days. If it is a good choice, they're going to run up somewhere between, guess what, 8 to 15%. A lot of people don't realize with growth stocks, they do run up that fast, that quickly. If you're taking off part of your, a partial profit at those levels, the 5 to 8% per month is definitely, I think, an attainable objective and goal. So, hey, if you need a tested, proven trading plan, I'm doing some modifications and refinement to the active trend trading trade plan, which also goes into your wealth building plan. So if you want some, there's my email, drop it to me. I'll draw, so you don't have to copy it down. I'll just put that in there really quickly. And it'll be coming to you via active. There you go. And I just sent it to everybody. let's see if I can send that to, yeah, I don't know if I sent that out to. I'll do that one more time, so it'll also go out to all. There you go. And also, if you want additional information about the active trend trading system. So that's where we'll wind up there. So let's go ahead and see where we're sitting. The months of, I'm going to be straight up with you, the months of February and March have been a meat grinder. I think Mark Minervini talked about it, that we were at a very precarious time in the market. He put that out about the 24th of March. We've had a little settling come to, to bear over the last couple of days. We'll see if that takes us through the rest of the quarter. But one of the things that is very interesting, if you are an Investor Business Daily person, before you invest in any stock, make sure you do a stock checkup on it to make sure that it is fundamentally hitting on all cylinders. If it is not, put it back to the back of the heap and watch it for later, because it's not a stock you want to be investing in right this moment in time. So here's where we're sitting. I'm up about 1.77%. As you can see, the Dow's up significantly. The Russell's up significantly. NASDAQ's dragging, kind of the tail end Charlie, if you will. And the S&P is kind of also in the middle. Russell has been the best performer year to date. Let's take a look at the charts. And a couple of things we want to be taking a look at is take a look at the, and I'm going to leave this up here for a second. Today we'll do a little bit different. We will show both the monthly chart, since this is the first day of the new month. We'll take a look and see if we have any positive or negative signal on the for the month. And then we will also go over here and jump up to the top of the box. The one in the middle is the weekly chart, and the one on the far right is the daily chart. So what are we seeing here on the S&P? Well, we're getting a breakout. We're getting a breakout above this level here. Now, we may continue to pile on and move up. As you can see from what we're looking at, we do have a slight level of negative divergence coming over here. That's one of the things I'm really watching closely, that even though we are making new highs, our momentum is not making new highs. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't continue to rally, push higher, push higher, push higher, but at some point in time, there will be a strong reversal signal and give us a stronger pullback. How far down? At this time, we don't know, because as we see it, we have a bullish stack, which means the 8 on the moving averages, which means the 8's above the 20, which is above the 34, the 50, and the 200-day moving average isn't even in sight on the S&P. Weekly, continue to just move right up. What's that now? It's the 8-week moving average, which corresponds roughly to the 34-day moving average. And the 34-day moving average is a really good average to just keep your eye on, because somewhere between it and the 50 can provide some really healthy bounces going forward. If you're an option trader, again, it's the same type of situation. Be quiet. My cat decided to come down and mic bomb the session. So as we see, pushing higher, however, extended quite a way away from the 20-month moving average. What's our next one we want to take a look at? What about the Qs? Okay, I like the Qs because they are finally starting to break out of this congestion area. We've broken out of the downtrend. However, it's run up really fast. Let me give you an idea here of what we're looking at. Is on our chart, we have one kind of a breakaway type situation, breakaway gaps. However, it is bumping its head right up against this past resistance over here. I would not be surprised. It's either going to break hard above this come next week, or we're going to get a little bit of pullback, maybe fill part of this gap right here in between yesterday and today's, because that's a nice, strong, healthy move up. However, what's missing from this move up? Well, one, volume's low. It's a pre-holiday aspect. So there is a normal bullish bias on any holiday week, and so we may just stick right there and say, okay, hey, I'll be looking for any kind of a pullback into this old level of support down at the 321 level, and then a bounce higher from there. What is the weekly showing us? The weekly is not showing us. We did have a shooting star. Now that's still in effect. That's a weekly candlestick, or correction, a monthly candlestick from back in February. Blow this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit closer. See that shooting star right there? Then we reverse that and get a hanging man type pattern. And so as long as the high from the 338.19, as long as that's not taken out, we will still have that bearish reversal signal in place. That's still there. IWM. Okay, IWM also gave us a nice little break back up. It is back up against the moving average, back above the moving averages. I think that portrays a more favorable aspect of IWM for a potential run back up into its past highs. Or and there's always an or is what we're seeing is just simply there's the shoulder, there's the head, or we may be getting a new move for a head and shoulders pattern. Part of it is, 2/3 of it's in place. We'll see what happens here. Typically on the right shoulder, it will not get up quite as high, and the momentum will stay low. It too is showing evidence of the, it was showing evidence of a negative divergence as it was getting up there, making its new highs. If this rally attempt gets, just throw a Fibonacci on here. If it gets up to about the 618 retracement, which would be about there. I don't know how close I came to hitting the 618. Let's take a look. That was with the eyeball. Darn it. Yeah, the 618 is actually right there. So it's almost at the 618 right this moment in time, approximately. So if we basically get, just up a little higher, it may start running into resistance about the 225 level, and look for a potential reversal there. And then we'll be watching for the next aspect. It is showing us that we pushed up, hit a new high there, came back higher low, and we do have another higher high now in place, regardless of what happens with today's price action. So short term, we are back into an uptrend with IWM, and also on the Investor Business Daily site, they are also in an uptrend moving forward. So, okay, so that's what we've got for that. Let's take a look. Let's take a real quick peek at Steve's choice from last week, and that would be Schwab. Schwab. So how did Schwab doing? Let's get rid of that. And if you recall correctly, let me get rid of some of these. Let me clear my. So Steve made the call on Schwab right here, the 26th. Now it just basically broken up and made a new high, or was trying to do a rally attempt. Did a one-day pullback back into what? The moving averages. Now, this was on, yeah, Catherine, it sure does. And we're going to take a real quick look at that also. And that's, we'll be right back to AMKR. So how did we put in the order on Schwab? Let me get a little bit closer here. On, if you were a top 5 member, AutoPilot top 5 or a premium member, you know that I sent out an alert on Schwab saying that, and what does that alert look like? I'll show you in just a second. A pre-flight checklist, AutoPilot pre-flight checklist, that if we had a pullback back into the 6470 level for the week, we'd want to jump into a trade. So sure enough, we dropped down into that level. We had a stop just slightly below these levels, down about just below 6295, filled, and then has been rebounding since. And now we're getting a breakout above this high. So the target on Schwab, of course, is up in this area. So on Schwab, it's up 2.3% since when I did the math on it a little bit earlier, but it may be a little bit more than that now. But this was on Friday of last week. We put out the AutoPilot checklist on Saturday, and so everybody could get their conditional orders in if they were going to parallel trade. Popped into a trade right here, broke back out, and so now we're just riding it up for its first profit target for Schwab. So that was another, that was one of our trades we looked at. 3 of the 5 stocks we identified for the AutoPilot top 5 pre-flight checklist did trigger a trade. The other one is CCS. And it basically same type situation. CCS, we had an order in to buy it at 59.36. Correction, yeah, 59.36, which is right about there. That filled on the 29th. And now we are breaking out and moving up towards new highs. And then the one that Catherine mentioned, AMKR. Yeah, I'm really liking AMKR. And this is one of those where we bought this one down here at, let's see, here was Sunday, or the 26th, last Friday. And I put out the alert in the AutoPilot pre-checklist that day, or on the Saturday, for a pullback into the 34-day moving average, around $22.50. We filled at $22.47. Our first profit target was at $24.20 or $24.30, which put us out with a 7.8% gain in basically 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And now the way we shift around, so we make the rest of the trade break even, with its upper targets being up, above the 8%. So again, this is a good breakaway, because if we have 1, 2 days with a breakaway on this, we'll see how yesterday's had really good volume. We'll see if we break out above this line right here. If we break above let's say the triangle there, its upside is, and let me throw you what the upside is, and here's how you determine that. I just go up here and I can pick up this. The conservative upside is that it will run up about $5.80, $5.80. So we break out from there. If it runs up $5.80, we're up there about $30. And so, which would give us probably about, what is that? $30, pushing about 20%. But we're getting a really nice acceleration to move up. And the last thing I will do is I will just show you also how I would estimate what its upside is if it has a symmetric move to that. Back down to the lows here. A symmetric move would put us up at 26. And then, as I said, the 1618, which is the upper reach of our expected move, about $29, which corresponds very nicely to the 5.8 move. So those are some that I'm watching and will continue to watch. And I will throw on just a couple more. I'm watching AMD for a pre-earnings run. It is not, okay, I'm not ready to buy it quite yet, but it is finding support at the 75 level. So I'll look for a little, and we have got a momentum crossover on the weekly, which is very important. And so we've got a nice bullish engulfing on the weekly. So AMD looks like a potential trade going into next week for a pre-earnings run. We had a nice breakout of the flag. Earnings on this is around the 20. Well, why don't we look here? Earnings on this one is coming up on, of course, that's not going to tell me. There we go, 427. And the other one I'm looking at, if it will settle down. Because Tesla may be all charged up and ready to go. We shall see. As you say, it rallied right back up into the 50, failed, or it's basically pulling back from there now. So what it may do is do a little bit pullback towards the 8-day moving average, which will be down here at the 3652 level, and then go into full RAM to charge up and through the 50. If we get up and through the 50, we're probably going to run all the way up to, I would say up to about 750, up to even 805. So as again, Tesla also has earnings coming up, and this is a pre-earnings run type of trade, 428 after the market closes. So guys, I got a little bit over because I wanted to share a lot of stuff with you today. Just consider it my Easter present to you all. If you have any questions, please drop me a note. Or if you have any questions right now, any stock you want to take a real quick look at, just type it in as we're closing out. If you're looking for a really great journal, my son Brandon put together these great journals. And here's the, you can just pick this up off of the slides, or the, I list them in the YouTube description, and they're really nice journals. They're really, one's a full size, one's a mini journal, but it has our rules. It has all the pages you need to basically work on being consistent, because that consistency is the basically theme I'm going to be doing for all of active trend traders for the next 90 days. Consistent and disciplined wealth building. So keep growing the egg, trade well and prosper. And David gets one stock in under the wire. Hold on a second, Dave. Let me take a look at that. Sun. Is she in? Oh, that looks pretty nice. Oh, what kind of volumes it pushing? Oh yeah. What's it looking like on a? Here's what I'm looking for, also, guys. I want to see what, does it have options? It does. Just regular monthly options. That's cool. That's a nice move. What industry group? Okay, from Roseville, California. Okay, it's a solar play. They make panels. This looks pretty promising, Dave. Just that is almost, you could almost buy that on the weekly. We've got a nice crossover going. And what's the worst case? What's the worst case? If you took the low of that, would be. Yeah, it's about a 30% move, so I'm definitely not going to let it go that far against me, but it is nicely moving up. I would say draw a line here about the 1581 level, which is the breakout that it did right there, and see what it does there if it pulls down into that area, which would be midsection of today's candlestick. midsection of the day's candlestick. If it blows out the bottom of that midsection, in other words, if I bought at the midsection and then it blew out the bottom, yeah, I'd still be looking at about an 8 to 9%. So what you're going to do is basically, if you're going to take that trade, go with a lesser size position, or run over here and take a look at the okay. Yeah, I'd wait on it on the intraday chart. Here would be your pullback, or look for a pullback down to about 5. It does have this one tag right here, but it also has a level of resistance right there, or support at the 1393 level. Heard anything if and when we'll do anything about the delisted securities by Trump? And what could people do about the delisted securities? Yeah, that RC is a subject that I'm not going to be able to get in the limited time that we have left today. So, because I don't know. So let's see here. So as I was saying, basically just keep growing the egg, trade well, prosper. Premium members, get ready for the final hour coming up at the top of the hour. And as I like to say, from my home to yours, aloha, trade well, and prosper. Keep sharpening the saw. Mahalo, God bless. And if you are seeing this on YouTube, please, and if you haven't gone to the YouTube channel, please go over, subscribe, and I post different stuff over there, all training type stuff. And so until then, aloha, God bless everybody. Thanks for joining today. Have a great, have an excellent Easter. God bless.